Hello everyone and welcome back to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Supergirl episode 11 of season 5, otherwise entitled Back from the Future Part 1, and if you have not seen this episode be sure to do so before proceeding with this review, as it will be filled with spoilers. So this episode of Supergirl was a big one because we saw the return of Jeremy Jordan as Winn Schott, and this was really exciting for me. Winn was always one of my favourite characters on the show. I was very upset when he left at the end of season 3, but we actually see him to come back from the future to join us in present day to help out our heroes take down a other Winn Schott, a doppelganger of Winn Schott from another Earth, and this was really awesome. I loved it. His suit looked amazing. I liked the fact that his powers were kind of stimulated from Dreamer's powers. I thought that was really interesting. That was a cool choice, and I just think seeing Winn as like a full-fledged superhero, you know, of course he's now a member of the Legion, it was just really awesome seeing that, you know, come into fruition. It was something we've all been waiting for. He was supposed to come back last season, he didn't, so it's a thing that's been like a long time coming, and to finally see that kind of come into fruition, seeing Winn officially as a member of the Legion, it was really exciting, and Jeremy Jordan just knocked it out of the park as always. Now, I really like the story of this episode. It basically revolves around, as I mentioned, another Earth version of Winn Schott, who is basically employed by Lex Luthor to create a ruckus, which would then lead to Winn from the future being discredited, because obviously everyone would think he is a murderer. And this version of Winn Schott was really interesting because he actually became a version of the Toyman. Of course, Toyman, famous character in DC Comics, famous villain, and of course Winn Schott's father is actually, of course, best known for being Toyman. So it was really interesting to see this version of Winn take up his father's mantle and becoming Toyman. I really liked that, and I thought the way he played with it was really cool, because this character could be really fun and dark and twisted and interesting, and I actually think that Winn and Jeremy Jordan did the best job of that we've actually seen on Supergirl thus far, and I was really impressed with that. So I think the story was really cool, and the way obviously it was like two versions of Winn kind of going up against each other was a really interesting and fun story to watch. Now, the Lex and Lena stuff, I still can't get behind in this season. I really don't like what they've done with Lena. I mean, it's helped ever since Lex has come back into it, because obviously John Cryer is so good as Lex, and Lex as a character is so much more interesting now after Crisis. I mean, he was great anyway, but after Crisis, they've really done a lot with him. So this storyline with Lena has improved, but I'm still just not that fussed about it, because again, I feel like it's all pointless. I feel like that this is all going to end with Lena becoming good again and turning against Lex. That's just how this is going to go down, because there's no way you take Lena and put her in this direction, because it's just completely against the point of the character. And I don't even mean from the comics perspective, because I don't even think Lena is a character in the comics as far as I'm aware. But even just in the show, like, her point of character as the show is that she's supposed to be the good Luthor. So to put her in this position, it just feels odd and completely against the point of the character. So it's just, I just can't get behind this story. Now, of course, we have Brainy, of course, now removing the personality inhibitors, and he is now kind of living his new life as this new version of himself. This is pretty interesting. He's very cold. He's very calculated. He reminds me a lot of Vision, actually, from the MCU films. He's just kind of, you know, very cold and very, very withdrawn, very reserved, and that's kind of how Jesse Rath is playing it. I mean, Jesse Rath has really got to expand his acting this season as Brainy, because, like, the way, especially last episode, with all that stuff that he did, with all the different versions of Brainiac 5 and stuff. So seeing this and his struggle with Nia, I thought was really interesting, because their relationship has always been very cute for me. I've always enjoyed their kind of relationship, and seeing that kind of come to a ultimate crescendo here with Brainy actually breaking up with her for that reason, and kind of seeing them, you know, kind of be frosty towards each other for the first time, especially because Nia is just not a frosty character whatsoever. I thought it was really nice to kind of see that dynamic. Will it last? Probably not. I'm pretty sure Brainy will go back to his usual self within the next few episodes, at least definitely by the end of the season, and we'll probably see that relationship rekindle. But as of right now, I thought it was a really cool, interesting way of doing that relationship and giving us a bit of a different take on it for now. Also, J'onn was not really in this episode much, because David Harewood, who of course plays J'onn Jones, actually directed this episode, and he did a fantastic job directing. He did a really good job last season, and he did a great job again this season with this episode. I thought it was really awesome, really well handled. He gave us some really cool shots in there. But J'onn in this episode, what he does do is he creates the Watchtower, and this was so cool to see this come into fruition. I mean, I heard rumors about this and speculation about this, but it actually came true in this episode. We actually saw J'onn bring Kara and Nia and Alex, Brainy and Winn into his office, and he actually had created a secret elevator which took them to what he referred to as the Tower, and this is like a base of operations meeting point outside of the DEO that's just for their heroes. So, you know, the heroes of National City, but also like they had room for the Flash and Batwoman and Black Lightning. All the other heroes in the Arrowverse can meet in National City in the watchtower, or the tower, and that is basically their sort of base of operations, because they don't really feel comfortable using the DEO anymore. Of course, it's government sanctioned and it's owned by Lex, so they don't really feel comfortable with that. So this gives them a new base of operations, and I hope we see this a lot. Like, I hope we go to this location a lot, because it's a really cool set. It looks awesome, and I think to give us a version of the tower, you know, basically the Justice League watchtower, I think that's amazing. So I really hope that we get to see this a lot more, because it was such a cool introduction. And a bit more of a relationship-driven point here, but it seems like that they are really setting up a relationship between Kara and William. I mean, this is something I kind of predicted a while ago in the front half of the season, but it seems like they're really going to do that now. Like, their little scene towards the end, especially because now after Crisis and things have changed with William, I think that Kara, I mean, she was already warming up to him before Crisis anyway, but now after Crisis, all that stuff that they went through together is kind of futile at this point. So I think that it's kind of like a clean slate, and it seems like, even based on the promo for next week's episode, that yes, that is exactly what they're doing. Or not next week's episode, but the next episode. I believe Supergirl is actually on break for 3 weeks now, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I believe they are actually doing a relationship between Kara and William, especially because they do actually invite him to game night at the end. Of course, game night is basically where all the family shows up, and yeah, that is where William was invited to, so I definitely think this is going to happen. Do I like this? I'm not against it. I think it's fine. Obviously, a lot of people are going to get angry about, you know, the fact that she's getting with someone who's not Mon-El. I mean, Mon-El obviously isn't a character anymore on the show. He's not on the show anymore. Kara's moved on. I think it's fine. And I think that them two as a couple, while it does feel a bit quick, like, it definitely feels fast, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. And at the end of the day, it's a relationship on a show. I'm not going to get too fussed up about it. But yeah, I think it's fine. And I quite like William as a character at this point. So yeah, I think why not? So overall, I really liked this episode. This is actually, I will say, my favourite episode of Supergirl Season 5. I really liked this episode. I think that the story of it, with the two different versions of Winn fighting against each other, was a really cool one. Anytime that they get to involve the multiverse like that is really awesome, especially because now, following Crisis, Supergirl has been doing some really interesting stuff with the multiverse, and I think that this is like a great example of that. And of course, David Harewood directing, fantastic job at the introduction of the Watchtower, is just a brilliant idea for Supergirl. I can't wait to see that expanded upon. And also, just having Winn back in this episode is great. Obviously, this is also Back from the Future Part 1. The next episode is, of course, Back from the Future Part 2, so we will have Winn for one more episode. I'm wondering if we'll have him for an episode after that as well, because that will be the 100th episode following that, so I wonder if Winn will stick around for that one as well. Maybe he can bring Mon-El back for that one. I don't know, maybe. But really great episode. I really enjoyed it, and like I say, this is definitely my favourite of the season. So what did you guys think about this episode? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is it your favourite episode of the season, or what is? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more DC content and all latest videos from Supergirl, The Flash, to Legends of Tomorrow, to Black Lightning, and everything else in between, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss an upload from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.